They call out to each other as they gracefully swim, jump, and make their way through the waters off Vancouver Island. These black and white creatures are majestic, fascinating tourists and locals alike. But their story is well known. Over the past few centuries, they've been killed, captured, all the time their home taken over by us.
Sometimes the whales surprise you. Look at that, guys.
But over the past few years, some small victories. Some of the pods are coming back. And earlier this month, a big win in the courts.
It's been several years of work on our part since 2008 in the courts to try and get critical habitat properly protected.
And that's what the Federal Appeal Court ruled, that the federal government is not doing enough to protect killer whale habitat. 9 environmental groups took the government on. Colin Campbell of the Sierra Club of BC says there is frustration as to why this issue even had to get this far. Killer whales were put under the Species at Risk Act 9 years ago, but Campbell says the act never made critical habitat protection mandatory.
Well, the things that whales need to have a good life are good food, a healthy habitat, and a clean habitat.
Which, according to environmental groups, they don't have. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans had a plan to protect the whales and their habitat, but left some decisions up to the fisheries minister in charge. Now the courts have told DFO that these mammals must be legally protected and not left up to government's discretion.
I think the court ruling is going to hopefully ensure that whatever actions take place in the future for killer whale protection, that these actions are in fact driven by science rather than politics.
Protecting the habitat encompasses a number of factors. Protecting the food source is one. They feed on Chinook salmon. Making sure there's enough salmon for them will be one of the challenges. Protecting the whales from pollution is another. With more tanker and boat traffic, scientists are finding more chemicals in these whales than any other marine life.
Our killer whales are now classed as one of the most contaminated groups of marine mammals on the planet.
And noise pollution is another big threat.
Killer whales are adaptable creatures. Their behaviors are not set in stone, and we have seen cases where in times of increased noise levels in the ocean that the animals will actually sort of raise their voices or repeat what they're saying.
There are about 90 endangered southern killer whales around our waters. Up north, there are about 264 killer whales which are threatened.
I mean, if you think about it, a Species at Risk Act is kind of a last resort. It's a measure of our lack of success in looking after species that suddenly we have to do something really special to make sure they don't go down.
DFO hasn't commented on the decision yet. It is reviewing it. Its choices are either to live with this ruling or appeal it. In Victoria, I'm Shetta Singh for The Daily.